In 1959, 9 experienced hikers vanished in the frozen Ural Mountains of Soviet Russia. When rescuers finally found their camp, the tent had been sliced from the inside. The hikers had fled barefoot into the snow, some froze to death beneath a tree, one woman was missing her tongue, another man had a fractured skull, without a visible wound, and for more than 60 years, nobody has fully agreed on what happened at Dyatlov Pass. The group was made up of skilled young hikers and engineering students from the Soviet Union. Most were in their early 20s. Their leader was 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, experienced, disciplined, and respected by the others. The expedition had a clear goal: reach a remote mountain called Otorten, deep in the northern Ural Mountains during the dead of winter. It was considered a Category 3 route, the highest difficulty level at the time. Temperatures could fall below 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Blizzards were common, the terrain was brutal, but the hikers were prepared. They carried cameras, journals, skis, cold weather gear, and enough experience to survive the conditions. At first, the journey went normally. The group laughed, took photos, wrote in their journals, and pushed steadily through the snow-covered wilderness. But on February 1st, something changed. The hikers stopped on the eastern slope of a mountain, known by the local Mansi people as Kholat Shayakal. It translates roughly to Mountain of the Dead. That night would become one of the most infamous mysteries in modern history. Weeks later, the hikers never returned. Search teams were sent into the mountains. When rescuers finally located the campsite, something felt immediately wrong. The tent was still standing, but it was cut open from the inside, as if the hikers had to escape in extreme panic. Their boots, heavy coats, and supplies were left behind. Outside the tent, investigators found footprints leading into the frozen darkness. Some prints were barefoot, others were made in socks. The tracks eventually disappeared beneath the drifting snow. Then the bodies were discovered. 2 hikers were found beneath a cedar tree near the edge of the forest. They were barefoot and lightly dressed. The branches above them were broken high up the trunk, suggesting someone had climbed the tree in desperation. Nearby, rescuers found the remains of a small fire. 3 more bodies were discovered scattered between the tree and the tent. It looked as though they had tried to crawl back to the camp before freezing to death. But the final 4 hikers were missing for months. When spring finally melted the snow, the last bodies were found buried deep inside a ravine, and the injuries were horrifying. One hiker had massive chest trauma, another suffered a severe skull fracture, yet strangely, there were almost no internal wounds. One woman, Ludmila Dubanina, was missing her tongue and parts of her face. Investigators later found traces of radiation on some of the clothing. The Soviet government quietly closed the case with a vague explanation: an unknown compelling force, nothing more. In 2019, Russian authorities officially concluded that an avalanche caused the disaster. Case closed. At least officially, but the photographs left behind by the hikers still exist. Smiling faces, snow-covered mountains, young people laughing in the freezing dark, completely unaware of what was waiting for them on the mountain. And somewhere in the silent Ural wilderness, their final night remains frozen in time. If you enjoy strange, true stories like this, consider subscribing. There's always more just waiting to be told.